All right, so thanks very much for being here. Welcome to Digital Wellbeing Week.
Well, thank you for having me. I'm very excited. This is good stuff. I'm very excited. Like I said, I know people say very excited all the time, but I mean it. I mean those words when I say it. I'm very excited. So thank you for
Yeah,
having
it's
me.
not a LinkedIn excited. We're not terribly excited to announce. Like, this is proper excitement.
Yeah, I'm proper excited. You know what I'm saying? I ran into somebody who actually was at the podcast company who was like booking me on stuff. She was like, I'm really interested in SharePoint. I like what you're talking about. And then she goes, when I showed her something, her
Yeah.
mind was blown. And then she goes,
Yeah.
SharePoint is one of them things you just gotta see. And I was
Yeah.
like, you know what? You're absolutely right. So that's why somewhere like YouTube is excellent, but with TikTok being a video first platform,
Yeah.
like YouTube, it allows me to break down this big, massive thing called SharePoint into bite-sized pieces that people can consume easily, and it
Yeah.
works better than YouTube Shorts. So that's why I'm over there,
Yeah,
and
that's
I
interesting.
freaking love it. You know what I'm saying? So
But that's really cool because you're going to be getting a younger audience, which of course I don't have any access to or anything. But we've
I
got all
thought
the
that.
new ones coming through.
I thought that. Let me tell
Oh,
you what I've figured out since
okay.
being over there. LinkedIn is where. All right, where are you most active socially?
LinkedIn.
Okay,
LinkedIn.
I'm most
Yeah, yeah.
I used to be most active on LinkedIn every single day, multiple times a day, posting. The people who are over there are business owners and leadership and those kinds of folks.
Yeah.
Their
Yeah, yeah.
employees are not over there
That is
because
true.
their employees are like, I don't want to hang out on this stupid social media where my boss is, you know what I'm saying? And I can't
Yeah.
say what I want to say and do what I want to do. So when I started posting on TikTok, the questions I would get and the interest I would get, it was like, oh, that's what I was expecting on LinkedIn. But I'm now realizing they hate LinkedIn. It's like,
Huh.
this corny social place where my boss is or my colleagues are. I don't want
Yeah.
to be over there. So all of the employees, adult employees, not like young folks. Maybe I'm getting some young folks, but I don't think that's the audience that I'm building. I haven't seen
All
that.
right.
The adults who have real jobs, who do real things, are heavily interacting on my TikTok.
And
And
they're the ones who are going to be using SharePoint. Like, they're the people that are
yeah,
exactly going to be struggling.
yep. Because on LinkedIn, I talk to leadership. I'm like, hey, you need to get your people to do this. And if you want your folks to be in line and all this other stuff, you want to make it easy for them. I talk like that. When I'm on TikTok, I talk directly to the employee. And
Yeah.
then they find me and then they're like, oh my God, how do I do this? How do I do that? And not only employees, I've gained business from TikTok from business owners and from people who are high up in their organization. So
Right.
yeah, I am doing a big land grab right now with TikTok and SharePoint. So
Nice. I don't know
loving it.
why it makes me smile so much to think about SharePoint on TikTok. For some reason, that really makes me giggle. But if you're saying it works, who am I to
It does,
judge?
1,000%. I love LinkedIn. I think LinkedIn is cool, but I totally, completely, and 100% get people calling it corny. I'm
Oh,
not gonna gas myself into thinking it's like this cool place. I know that it's not. I know that
no.
it's. My wife will be like, why you on work social media? And I'm like, look, I love LinkedIn, but I get it. I know why my kids would be like, ew, what are you doing? You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? But on TikTok, it's a fun platform where people, they let loose. It's kind of like a before Twitter got out of control. You know what I mean? There's
Yeah.
still
Yeah.
people over there having a good time and they want to learn. You know what I'm saying? People
Yeah.
are very much interested in the stuff that I put out there, and I love it. I've been growing like crazy over there, so I'm staying over there.
Yeah. Sounds good. I think that
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
not cool enough. I'll stay in LinkedIn for now, but I might come and peek and just have a
yeah.
quick
I
look.
totally disagree, but matter of fact, you will be on TikTok because after we record this and you publish this, I'll be sharing it over there. So
Ah, brilliant. All
I'm
right,
gonna
introduce
introduce you.
me. Be
I'm
like,
gonna
I know
introduce you
what
to
I'm
my audience.
doing. My son's like, Mom, what are you doing?
Yeah, yeah. One of my most popular videos is way longer than 3 minutes. You know what
Yeah.
it was? It was me describing SharePoint permissions on a site.
Oh, yeah, that
The
doesn't
most boring
surprise me.
topic, you know what I'm saying? Where it's like, it's super boring, but I know that people need to know about permissions. It's like
Yeah.
you know as well as I know, it is the most, it's confusing. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? Like
very
if
much so.
you, for people who've been working in SharePoint for forever, it is confusing at times. So for somebody who's not even a SharePoint person, it's like, what are you talking about right now?
Yeah.
So the thing that I think I do well is make it not so scary. And the reason why I think I do that well is because I've been doing that in person for a billion years.
Yeah.
Like I
Yeah.
like, like how people would talk about the older folks in the workplace
Yeah.
and how, they're scared of technology and all this other stuff.
Uh-huh.
Give me that older person and I guarantee I'll not only show them, but I'll make them excited to use the
Yeah.
technology. I think
Yeah.
I'm really good at that. So I
I
took
enjoy doing
this
that.
this complex, boring, annoying thing called SharePoint permissions, and it's one of my most popular videos because I just made it very easy to understand.
Yeah, I think that short form actually for SharePoint is going to be key. We're going to need to condense it down into less than 5 minutes
Hmm.
because of people's attention spans and the workload at the moment just won't allow us to do anything else.
I do have concerns because I have kids.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I see how kids consume, technology,
Yeah.
and it's not. First of all, it's not only kids. You know what I'm saying? And, you have seen adults who they consume, technology in a certain way.
Yeah.
In the workplace, I think the combination of people being worried that their job is going to get taken, along with what's happening in the world, and along with where social media has gone, which a lot of people spend a lot of time on, for instance, like what I was talking about with Twitter earlier,
Yeah.
that combination is heavy.
Yeah, it
You know what I'm
is.
saying? And you have to like carve out things that make you excited or happy on a daily basis to do your thing. And
Yeah.
I find myself just fortunate that I grew up at a time where there wasn't this much technology, so I kind of can. I'm good. Like I definitely I use my phone. I catch myself scrolling sometimes,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I gain business off of the internet, all of that. But I still like being off the internet.
Yeah.
And then when I approach the internet, I don't use it as my like, my source of well-being.
Yeah.
It's part of it.
That's an important thing.
It's absolutely part of it because it's just it's a tool. It's a tool for me to help people. If somebody says from across the way, from some country that I've never been to, hey, thanks for doing this. This has been helpful. Yeah, that fills my cup up. You know what I'm
I
saying?
was
So
gonna, yeah,
I'm
dopamine
doing
hit.
well. I'm doing
Yeah.
well digitally. I think I am. You know what I'm
Well,
saying?
I've kind of got to the stage where anything could be making a noise and I won't necessarily know what it is. It could be any one of my notifications, any one of my tenancies, could be a phone, could be a tablet, could be a cat. I've got to that stage. I'm not entirely sure. So
Yeah.
one of the things that I do more often than not now is just help people manage their notifications. That's how I'm just
Mm.
probably the most useful thing that I do at the moment, particularly now that everything seems to be able to ping at you. Now that M365 is pretty much the digital workplace, do you think that that's a well supported place to be in, or do you feel like people have just been chucked in there?
Mm, a bit of both.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, a bit of both because here's what I think. I do believe again, all of this technology is just a bunch of tools. You know what I'm saying? Like you still have your humanity and you still have your life and existence and all this other stuff outside of technology.
Yeah,
And I'm
yeah,
like, you have to know how to. Matter of fact, I'll compare it to how I talk about SharePoint. I talk about SharePoint in a way where I'm like, hey, listen, forget about SharePoint. It ain't even. It's not about SharePoint. Forget that even exists.
yeah,
Let's talk about your process. Let's talk about your people involved with the process. How do all of these things work? And after we come to at least a understanding, a basic understanding of how this thing works, then we're like, hey, let's bring in technology. And
yeah,
it just so happens that you pay for SharePoint. It's available. It's flexible. It's powerful. It could probably support this process we just talked about. The same thing with real life. Have your real life. make your real life, build it, all that other stuff, and then look at technology as a way to just do your real life better. That's how I look at technology.
Yeah,
You got
yeah.
your life, and then use it to support the things you already do or want to do.
So does it help that SharePoint can do so much? Because you just gave a really good example. We're surrounded by so much technology.
Mm-hmm.
One of the questions that I put in our email, because I've been pondering it. SharePoint can do so much. We know this. It could be a database. It can be a web publishing platform. It can be a document management, what it's most famous for, what it's most
Mm-hmm.
abused for.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact that it can do so much requires everyone to have a really good imagination and a really good sense of knowing what they want. And I always find that that's the weakness in getting people involved in SharePoint, and that's what gets my work. Once I get them in, they love it, absolutely love it.
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
what are you finding people's entry points are? Is it document management?
Nah, but I think this is an excellent topic, like a great
Thanks.
topic, and I'm gonna tell you why. Because
Oh yeah.
it's part of my secret.
Ah,
SharePoint is, again, just a tool.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? The way that I get people in is because you know as well as I know, especially after working all of these years with the tool and with clients and end users, we know the basics of what a business might need.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
we know what those things are. SharePoint can do, let's just say, 1,000 things.
Yeah.
To introduce a business to SharePoint, you only need 10 of those things. It's going to be one of those 10 things. A business owner that I'm introducing to SharePoint, the content that I'm putting out on LinkedIn, the content that I'm putting out on TikTok is not covering the 900 other things.
Yeah.
Absolutely not. Because
Yeah.
that would be if I was talking to developers, and I don't talk to developers. You know what I'm saying? I talk to people who work in a business or people who run a business or both. So
Right.
if you say our onboarding process is jacked up, I think I'm a very, very good listener. I'm going to find out, well, what's wrong with your onboarding process, not thinking technology, because I want to know, like, are you saying that every time somebody comes on board, you hit them with the fire hose? Like, do you give them the drinking from the fire hose thing, and then day one, you just flood them with all of this other stuff?
Yeah. Yeah.
Before even talking about technology, I tell you, you probably need to relax. Don't do that, because your new
Yeah.
employee is not going to remember all of that stuff. So that's how I get my in. I talk about the things that they care about. They don't care about SharePoint. Matter
Yeah.
of fact, they probably hate SharePoint.
A
It's a
lot of
four-letter word in a lot of organizations. You know what I'm saying? So I don't talk about SharePoint. I talk about their issues and their problems,
yeah.
and then I eventually at some point I'll talk about SharePoint. But if for instance, if it's on TikTok and I'm putting out content,
Yeah.
I try to make them see the work that they're doing, make them see SharePoint in the work they're doing, not just, hey, look at this cool thing called SharePoint.
Yeah. Yeah. Because it really is the cliche of it's what you build with it. And after all this time, knowing how SharePoint works and knowing exactly how the product has changed throughout its history, it's given, and it probably has for you, a massive insight just in how business works. I've seen
Yes.
so many different businesses, and
Yes.
SharePoint is literally just a way for you to make your business work. Don't worry about the whistles, don't worry about all the fancy stuff.
Yes.
We just need to replicate what works for you and your business and get your processes out there so that everyone can
One
access it.
1,000%. I
Yeah.
agree with that fully, wholeheartedly. Absolutely.
Oh, well, that sounds like well-being in and of itself, just knowing what you want to achieve.
Yeah.
And I guess that's one of the best parts of the job, because you can see people come on board as you explain, and we can absolutely do this. You tell me your process, we'll work it out, and then we'll translate it into this license that you've paid for, and that undoubtedly is going to do the job. Does anyone ever ask you what SharePoint can do? It's my
Yeah,
favorite
they do.
question. They do.
Yeah,
They say, so
yeah.
what can SharePoint do? It's like,
That's a frequent one, but I have proudly broken it down into my definition versus Microsoft's. So I'll
yeah,
say Microsoft says it's a content management system, which, that's cool. That is, accurate. But if
It's an
somebody
answer.
if somebody asks me, I'm gonna tell them about my acronym, which is CMD, so Charlie Mike Delta. I'm like, SharePoint, you can do three things with it. You can collect information, manage information, or display information, and
I
that's it.
saw this one. I saw this video. It was a
Yeah, okay,
cracker.
yeah.
At this point, I'll start flashing up a link to your to the video.
Yeah, appreciate that. So yeah, that's what I do. I tell people what you can do with it versus what it is. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah,
like if you don't know what a car is, I'll explain to you that a car will help you get to work easy and fast. It'll get you to the store. You can go to concerts. It's called a car. You know what I'm saying? But I'm not gonna be like, hey, so here's the gear shift and
yeah.
it has four wheels and the seat belts. I'm not doing all that. But I'll tell you what you could do with it. You know what I'm saying? And then that'll make you interested in possibly getting that car.
So, what do you reckon about Power Automate then? How
I love Power
how
Automate.
I do too. I've got such a soft spot for it, even though
Yeah.
it's like clunky.
Yeah. It is clunky, and I've heard over the years about other tools that are better than it, which I get, you know what I'm saying?
Mm,
Totally understandable. But I look at it like it's one tool that's pretty powerful and flexible, just like SharePoint, inside of a suite that you pay for that is not
yeah,
costing you a bunch of money. It is
exactly.
powerful. But I will say, out of the big three, not big three, but out of the Power Platform
Yeah,
and SharePoint,
yeah. I feel like we're
Power
coming up with something
Automate is
juicy.
the Power Automate is difficult
Uh-huh.
for at times for me to wrap my mind around how something works. So when I teach Power Automate, I'm always like, listen, you need to start small with
Yeah,
things that are they're quote easy, but again, they're super powerful. Like if you want to send an email after something happens inside of SharePoint, that's powerful if you ask me, because you can notify somebody of something happening, and then you can take the details of what happened and put it inside of the email. It's a
yeah.
powerful thing. You know what I'm saying? And that's one of the
Sometimes that's
first.
all you need. People
Yeah, that's
overthink a lot of stuff.
thank you. Well, sometimes that's all you need. Exactly.
Mm.
So I like AI, and I think it's getting better, but
What's
I
it doing
would
to SharePoint? Let's get on the Copilot question. What's it actually doing to people's understanding of what SharePoint can achieve?
um okay, so a good example of this is if I go back to the car.
Yeah,
I said the other day that, if you told me today that I could write a good prompt to build my own vehicle, my own car,
yeah,
that is cool, but it's not that useful to me. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't know what engine to tell it to
yeah.
have. I don't know,
Yes.
what kind of, how fast it needs to go to 0 to 60 and what it needs to do with the gas. Like
Yeah,
the mechanics of it, I don't know that because I don't know what I don't know. But somebody who knows about vehicles
yeah,
will run laps around me if they could prompt their way to a nice vehicle.
yeah,
This is what's happening with SharePoint right now, I believe, is that all the AI stuff is excellent for people like me and you who understand SharePoint, who know what we know, who've been working with it for years, who gets the value of outcomes. Like it's powerful for us.
yeah,
For a business owner or an employee, they need to know what they don't know so that they know how to use AI in SharePoint.
yeah,
At
yeah,
least, so there's another piece here. That's at least talking about what a lot of information is coming out about SharePoint right now, right? That's like for all the information coming out about AI and SharePoint, Copilot and SharePoint. That's my statement on that. On the other side, I love lists. I love SharePoint lists. I've been talking
yeah.
about lists till I'm
Love a
blue in the damn
list.
face. You know what I'm saying? Like, even
That
though
is pretty much why I stayed in your content. I was like, oh, he gets it. Lists are
I,
so
okay.
underrated.
Yeah. So now one of the things that I teach people to do is to like build a risk register with a SharePoint list, right? And so I'm
Yeah,
like, if you run your business with this risk register, or you're a project manager and you got it for your project, the most powerful use of AI that I have seen so far is that site agent, which
Yes.
I'm not telling the end user to go build an agent. I'm not telling you to go learn about AI. I'm not telling you any of that. What I'm telling you is that there is a powerful tool that already exists on your site right now that knows about your risk register. So if you have 30 risks in there that have been piling up over time, you've been keeping them updated, your risk owners have been keeping it updated, go talk to that site agent that's already built and exists on your site. Watch it blow your mind. And don't ask it, hey, how many high risks do I have? You can do that by filtering the list. You don't have to
Yeah.
ask it something basic like that. Say something
Yes.
like, I'm new. I just took over for the old risk manager, and I'm trying to get a feel for what's going on with these risks. As far as the high risks, can you look at those high risks and tell me maybe what might be my next steps for these risks? Like what should I do to mitigate these? That is
Um,
super powerful to me.
what advice could you give anybody who's trying to stay sane in a world that is just digitally overloading them? Like, let's get really positive here and give everybody the love that we have for when a SharePoint works well.
Well, you have to count your blessings. I
Yeah.
count my blessings all the time, you know what I'm saying? And I've been counting my blessings. Like right now, I think that there is something to us connecting and having this conversation. It's of value to me, and I check what I'm doing by checking my energy.
Yeah.
My energy it was probably at 100 before we started, you know what I'm saying? But let's just say it's at 110 now, because whatever
Yay.
whatever transfer is happening, it's a transfer of energy that is filling my cup up, and I'm feeling like, yo, this was valuable to me. This was a great use of my time. I'm having a really good time. I would love to do it again. Like that's how I verify if I'm good. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? I make decisions through the lens of two things. Am I one gonna have fun, and two, will it raise or lower my stress?
Yeah.
And so that's what
Yeah,
I do.
I think that's a really, really lovely way of looking at it because the way I always think about it is that there's a little bit of stress or a little bit of tension around the idea that we don't have human connections as much nowadays. And of course, it depends on your job and what you're doing. But
Hmm.
I honestly feel that sometimes being in a digital space like this, being in a virtual meeting room, if it's got the right packaging around it and the right purpose and the presence and that you can sense that you're making progress, then these can be as valuable. And so I think there's a wider conversation to be had around well-being rather than just screens bad. Um,
Yeah.
and, and I keep on saying to people, look, if the answer was just to move into a tree house and live my best life hugging trees, I would have done it by now. But I've got to make a living, people, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and I genuinely love working with SharePoint because when it works well, it really solves problems. And
Thousand
I
percent.
absolutely love that moment in someone's eyes where they go, "Oh, that's clever.
Yeah, me
That's
too.
clever.
Same here. Yes, 1000%. I
So much
love that.
fun."
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes. I'm all in on that.
Yeah, so much so. But I do think it's quite interesting now because although I absolutely adore SharePoint, SharePoint's like my baby, it's where I started. SharePoint's now a sibling in a big old family. There's so much that's being added in. And I think there's some sibling rivalry between SharePoint and Teams because I get an awful lot of people who don't understand the relationship between Teams and SharePoint, and that
Mm.
does create heartache for them. You know, as I'm trying to explain. Oh yeah, no, that is SharePoint. Is I know it's kind of like SharePoint with a cloak on it, but it's
Yeah, yeah,
definitely
yeah.
SharePoint. Are you now more holistically showing people all the things that touch SharePoint? I've
Well,
definitely
not Teams.
become not Teams.
Not Teams. I recognize Teams as a place to work,
Yeah.
and primarily I look at it as like where the action is. You know what I'm saying? Like there's a lot of action there. One of the main reasons why there's a lot of action is because that's where the chat is. Like that is
Yeah.
the area where people can communicate in real time, And just like social media, what can they do? They can send links, they can send gifs, they can send pictures, they can send, they can respond to threads, they can do all of that, like what we've gotten used to. So I'm like, that's how I look at that. Even
Yeah,
though
yeah,
it is SharePoint, it's like, they're the same thing. I still look at that as where you would go to do the active communication, let's say for a project.
yes,
I still see the value in SharePoint in that we slow all of that action down and we make it available in one area. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? Like I joined the team in January, or let's say today. I joined the team in June, but the team has been active since January. The project has been going since January. A lot of stuff going on. I am not about to enter this area and start fishing through all these documents that you've populated or fishing through old chats. I'm not doing that. But if
yeah,
you have slowed down the action and put it in one place and said, all right, go here to see what the project is about, go here for the risks register, here are our
yeah.
stakeholders and blah, 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 all this other stuff. That's where the value comes in. That's how I see it. So,
Yeah, I completely agree. I think that SharePoint is the point at which teams are not trying to make it up anymore. Teams is great for all the ideation, get their ideas out, create the documents. Yeah, final version 2, whatever. Just get your ideas down and work as a team. That's the human bit. But at the point that you want it to be useful for people, if you want it to have a legacy beyond this interaction you've had as a team, it's SharePoint all the way.
mhm.
Always. That's when we move over and we start presenting all the things that we found in a usable way for everybody else so that they go, I know exactly what I'm doing in this place. I know what the resources are. I know exactly why I'm supposed to fill out this register. I know,
Yes,
who everyone in charge is. You're supposed to give people a welcome. I think SharePoint is
yes,
that. Hi, welcome. Don't
yes.
feel awkward. Here you are.
I totally
Come,
agree.
come sit in my library here. It's supposed to feel nice.
Yeah. 1000%. I totally
Yeah.
agree. If you another analogy that I like to give is, we're both active on LinkedIn. We know LinkedIn. When you are on LinkedIn
Yeah.
and you are, commenting and, you're DMing and you're having a good time, that's cool. That's fine. And, maybe you're interacting with a content creator's information. Cool. But I guarantee it's a different experience if you go to that content creator's profile and click on some link. That
Yeah.
link will probably take you to a website, or you see that thing that says visit my website or whatever, because it's like, hey, what we're doing on LinkedIn is active real time today. But if you're just discovering me, you probably need to get to my website to see what's available there and what you can do. That's the slowed down, curated, as you
Yeah.
said, the welcoming. Maybe my welcome mat is over there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
After you have interacted with me on LinkedIn. So you absolutely 1000% still need SharePoint. I lightly talk about Teams, but
Yeah.
I'm all in on SharePoint because I see the separation, even though they're the same thing behind the
Yeah,
scene.
I do quite a lot of work just helping people to find corridors. I always say this corridors because they know how the workplace, the old office. I'm always trying to say it's not any different. Like, imagine you're just working, it's cool. You get down a corridor and I'll take you from Teams to SharePoint. Let me show you how you transition from one to the next. And I think that that kind of signposting and that kind of wayfinding is something that generally we don't do when we live in our digital worlds. We don't take
Mm-hmm.
the same information that we've learned from our physical spaces
Yes.
and how office work. We haven't taken that knowledge and applied it to the digital workplace yet. And I just think there's something that we should maybe dig into and start chatting to people about. I don't know how anyone could have a sense of well-being if they have no idea where they're going.
Yeah, that's a strong point. I 1000% believe in that, but kind of like what I was mentioning earlier, where I just feel fortunate that I grew up in a world where it wasn't so technology heavy. So I know what it looks like to, not have a phone on me or not be able to easily get to the technology or come to work. And there isn't really a good digital workplace
Yeah,
where
yeah,
whether I'm working in the office or I'm working elsewhere, I can go to a URL and get to all of my stuff. I remember when that concept first became a thing. office. Maybe I might
Yeah.
have said virtual office, where
Yeah.
I literally could go anywhere, and as long as I got an internet connection, I can get to all of my stuff. That was
Yeah.
great for me because I
Yeah.
didn't. I like having one area for everything. If you've seen any of my content, I talk about that all the time. Put it all in one area and give me one link to go to. So I'm all in. Love it.
Yes.
I am. I don't touch spreadsheets. If I'm touching a
Uh,
spreadsheet, it is because it came out of SharePoint. Like I exported it out of SharePoint. I
yeah.
don't have anything against spreadsheets. It's just that I see the distinct difference between the way SharePoint works and a spreadsheet works. And
Yes.
the issue that a lot of people may have, for instance, this age-old process of where I need to collect information. So what I'm gonna do is create a spreadsheet, put some
Yeah.
columns on it, and send it to everybody.
Yeah.
I There's no way in the face of the world that I'm ever doing that. You know what I'm
I'm
saying?
not playing that game because
Yeah,
Kevin's going to
yeah.
delete it all. And then I'm left going, oh, yeah, let's talk about version history. We didn't have to be here, people.
Right. Yes.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I love using lists. Like
Yeah.
I'm all in. There's no way you're gonna see a SharePoint site of mine and there's not lists on there. There's no way. I always got a list. I'm trying to think of another one.
Yeah, I love SharePoint lists, but I love it when I show people SharePoint lists. I always get the same response with certain things, so I kind of hold them back and just so that I can enjoy that when it
Yeah,
comes. I
yeah.
know that they're
I
they're
feel
going to
you.
love column formatting. Oh, I just hold yourself. This is
Yeah, yeah,
coming.
yeah, yeah.
And they love that. They absolutely love that. And then for the twitchy ones who are sitting there going, oh, Excel is a powerful tool. And I'm like, yeah, I get it, I get it. And
Uh-huh.
then you just show them right at the end. And you know what? Don't panic because there's an export to Excel button. So,
Yes.
I mean, you've got all worlds here and you watch everybody relax. And
Hmm.
it's just hilarious because it doesn't matter if you go through all the great, wonderful reasons, and there are many why a SharePoint list is going to make their life better. Someone's pressing that export to Excel button
Yeah.
because they want to do VLOOKUPs or whatever. Like they want to hark back to another time so that they can feel like, they're in charge. And I'm not messing with that. Like
Yeah.
that.
And I support using a spreadsheet to run your metrics.
Sure,
I think that
that's fair.
makes perfect sense because you can't do a pivot table in SharePoint. You can't
No,
do a pivot chart in SharePoint.
you
You
can't.
can't do that very easily. You can't do that in SharePoint. So
Some things are sacred.
you know what I'm saying? So if
Yeah,
you want to do that, by all means you should do that. But here's what I suggest. The way you get that information, get it in SharePoint because that comes with clean, beautiful formatting. You know what I'm saying? Where like no one's writing TBD in your date column.
oh,
Nobody's misspelling an employee's name in the employee name column. You know what I'm
no.
saying? There's none of
See,
that happening. SharePoint will
and
give you the clean, beautiful data for you to run your metrics on. You know what I'm
I
saying?
agree. I agree. It's so pretty. And there's just so
Yes.
much you can do with it as well
Yes.
because it's just a beautiful container within to which you can put your data in. But getting overexcited here. When they introduced forms, I was like,
Yes.
because I had to work hard for that. Thank you, thank you.
Yeah.
I love it when they just drop a little feature in when you're like, oh, that one was really helpful. Thank you very much.
Yes. Yeah. one
I
thousand
like
percent.
that.
As a matter of fact, I sent that to a stakeholder yesterday. Where before, what I would have needed them to do for themselves, I wouldn't have felt confident sending them an out of the box SharePoint form.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
was able to send them forms for lists, Microsoft and then
yeah,
naming. I was
yeah.
able to send them forms for lists and say, hey, go ahead and make the changes. I talked to them today and they was like, oh yeah, I did it. I made the changes. I was like, yes, that's what
Yeah,
I'm talking
nice.
about. You know what I'm saying? That end
Nice.
user easy interface for them to get what they need to get done. I love it.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Oh, and that reminds me, but I was seeing that you had posted that you're really investing now in the idea of teaching people how to get all this stuff done. So not
Yes.
necessarily as end users, but like as site owners, people who want to get their hands dirty with SharePoint, because there's only so many projects you can do, right? There's only
Yes.
so much work you can get done yourself until you realize, am I hoarding this information? Because this is cool. Like everyone needs to know about this.
Yeah,
Are
yeah.
you doing, and you're doing a boot camp?
I am doing a boot camp. Yes.
Nice. Tell me about that and how it's going to play out.
Yeah. So I'm glad you asked. So um, I'm doing 6 weeks,
Okay.
and it's
Is
gonna
that
be.
enough?
Yeah, let me tell you. Let me tell you. So the 6 weeks is to lay a foundation that will give you the comfort to build your own applications and to streamline your own processes. But again, remember we talked about earlier, SharePoint can do 1,000 things. These people that I'm talking about, they only need to know about 100. And really, seriously, I'm not even going with the 100. We just
Yeah,
need to
yeah,
know 10. You know what I mean? You need to know these basic concepts so that when someone says, uh, hey, we need to capture the inventory for this stuff in this building. Can you get me a spreadsheet, to spin me up a spreadsheet with that information?
mm,
I need your brain to go, antennas up. I heard spreadsheet, but I know we don't need a spreadsheet.
yeah, yeah,
I'll do you one better. I'll give you a list. I'll even put it on a page with other information, other supporting information, because this is a better way to work for me
yeah,
and for you and anybody else that's going to use this resource.
yeah,
So, number one, I need you to see it differently, and then two, I need you to work it differently. So you'll have the tools to think differently, and then you'll have the tools to build basic but powerful things. So instead of your employee handbook being in a Word document, you
yeah,
digitize it. Your
yeah,
SOPs,
yeah,
these are digital pages.
yeah.
Your request,
No, no
it's gonna be
more
a form.
nested tables in Word, and then
No
wondering
more
why Copilot can't read them.
no more nested tables. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, when you create your change request and you put it
Yeah.
on a Word document, you're gonna look at that in disgust going forward. You're gonna be like, why did I ever do that?
And the funny thing is, they're going to be telling other people, oh, I know that you can do this slightly differently. Let me
Yep.
show you. And I think that's the
Yes.
revolution we need, quite frankly.
Yeah. So
Um,
that is what I am gonna do in the 6 weeks. But then at the end of the 6 weeks, I am gonna invite them to come join the community because I told everybody that I've been telling about this. You're not gonna get it in 6 weeks. What you're gonna get
yeah,
is a powerful foundation, which something I wish I had at the beginning. Because even though I went to Learning Tree, they didn't see SharePoint the way I see SharePoint. You know what I'm
right.
saying? And so I'm gonna lay that foundation, and then for the long term live Q&As and technical explanations and detailed trainings, come to the community. So that's the plan, to just go all in with training because I want
Nice.
to help people, and I can't help them by just still developing anymore. That's like not the best use of my time for how I want to help. Get your SharePoint training.
Yeah,
I could be like, yeah, I started in 2026 on my birthday. You know what I mean? So
nice.
that's
And
on
that's like
purpose.
proper psychology as well. Your habit stacking. Look at you with all your fancy leadership strategies. I love it. Love it.
All right,
Do
good
you know?
deal. I'm glad you
Do
love
you
it.
know what I also love, which is just giving me the giggles because I think it's like a cultural thing, like an American versus Brit thing, because you use the expression tool a lot, like these are tools, and I get the giggles because that's how you insult somebody in Britain.
Yeah,
You
yeah, yeah,
call them a
yeah. But it is
tool.
though. You can use a lot of people still use that terminology here
Oh,
to
do
be like,
they?
absolutely, yeah. You'll be like,
Oh,
yo, this
then you're
guy's a
just more
tool. You know what I'm
mature than
saying?
us.
Yeah, I love it. It's
Oh,
hilarious.
yeah, no,
So
you're just more mature, apparently. Oh, like, yeah, total tools.
yeah, yeah, yeah. You just reminded me actually. Yeah. So yeah, definitely. You can still insult somebody and call them a tool, and they'll know
Yeah.
exactly what you're talking about over here.
Nice, nice. I mean, you've got to amuse yourself in a day, haven't you? But
Absolutely.
use it sparingly. Generally, in my line of work, we're nice to people. We want people to feel joy on the inside. That is really the aim of it. But if I can have a little schoolgirl giggle over the fact that there's all a bunch of tools, I will.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
got another one that
Oh yeah.
somebody. I'm not gonna say it on the show. We're gonna tell you after we turn off the mic.